Hey guys, so I am super excited. This is May now, it's May 1st, so that means it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so for Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm going to be bringing on a different guest every day here on Instagram Live to talk about mental health, to talk about tips and tricks for navigating your own mental health, and also different ways that people have experienced their own slumps and how they got out of them. And so today I'm super excited. My first guest is going to be my mom, Carmen. Let's see if I can bring her on. Hey, Kirsten. Hey, Stevie. I hope that you guys can hang out with us for a couple minutes.
Hello.
Hey.
Here I am.
There you are. Hey, Mom. So everyone, this is my mom. Her name is Karma Decker. She is a chocolatier. She's my mother. And yes, my mother's name is Karma. I was born to a woman whose name is Karma. And so I'm really excited to do this. This is our first time. This is my first time hosting her on my Instagram Live. And I think Mental Health Awareness Month is a great time to do it because she's the one that introduced me to meditation and even to yoga and to the concept of karma. And a lot of you know that when I was in high school, I participated in a 4-year seminary program. And my mom was actually one of the teachers in that seminary program. Mom, thanks for coming. Welcome.
Welcome. I figured it out. So technically challenged mom. Got it. So I'm here.
Okay, so Mom, you're a chocolatier. You've got a chocolate shop in West Chester, Ohio, and you're also the mother of 5 boys.
Correct.
So when I remember growing up, I remember every day we had at least once, usually twice a day, we had family prayer.
And, we tried. It's tricky with that many people. I said we tried. It's tricky with that many people, and
yeah, I think every night we had family prayer before bed, and every time we had a meal together, we had family prayer, and so that was something that we now know from like a neuroscience perspective. That kind of thing keeps people in a good rhythm, keeps people sane, keeps people going and functioning. There's that expression that the family that prays together stays together. And I think, yeah, I think so far so good. I think in a general sense, we have stayed together. And so thanks everybody for coming. And if you ever want to say hi or check in or ask any questions, we're here. I'll read them and we can ask them and talk about them. But Mom, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how you became a chocolatier. You know, for me, growing up there, you did always make all different kinds of sweet treats, not just chocolates, but you made candy, you made chocolates, you made all different kinds of things. You made a lot of cinnamon rolls and cookies and bread, and you made a lot of dinner.
And good, wholesome, nutritious meals in addition to all of those. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Yes, also nutritious meals with vegetables and all that kind of thing every day. Okay, so I wanted to talk about mental health. We know that especially for women, when women are having children, especially a lot of children concurrently, right in a row, there's the condition of postpartum depression. They say 96% of women who have children experience a phase of postpartum depression. And so when you were having all those kids, and we're all pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Cynthia, there are 5 boys, 5 kids, and they're all within about, the first 2 are 1 year apart. We're all about around 1 to 3 years apart.
There's in 9 years, 5 boys, 9 years. So
5 boys in 9 years. Okay. So if you guys have any questions about that, any young parents, like, go for it. So let's talk. I want to talk a little bit. I want to know what your process was like when you were in the midst of all that. You had all these young kids at home. Yeah. What was your relationship to a postpartum depression? What was that like for you?
You know what? I actually, with my first one, I didn't notice it or feel it, but I definitely did with number 2. And it was a weird concept for me because I was just in this funk. I had these two tiny babies, you know, and I was tired all the time because you're not sleeping, so I think that adds to it. And I was pretty young, so I really wasn't tuned into taking care of myself like maybe I should have. And then, of course, all the hormones. So I think all of that combined, you know, of course you're going to be depressed and you're not going to like everything you do. And sometimes motherhood is mostly just really hard. And I think, you know, I definitely experienced with, most profoundly with my second child. And even though he was perfect and wonderful and great, and so was the first one, and the third and the fourth and the fifth, they were all really great babies and beautiful and made me so happy to be a mom. And I love being a mom, but it's hard. And so it's really, really tricky to overcome that. But I definitely experienced it. I didn't really know what it was at the time, and I didn't really recognize that it was a common thing until much later, which is unfortunate because I don't think it was like a shame thing. I just think it was in my own ignorance. I just didn't recognize it. And so, you know, obviously
Mrs. Southern Style is saying that you have literally the best chocolate in the world, always feeling spoiled when Corey gifts her chocolates from Karma. Yeah, definitely the best chocolates in the world. And so that's something that I, just from being the third of those 5 children, Darcy just joined us too. Hey, Darcy.
Hey, Darcy.
So being, you know, going back, looking back on that, having the memories that I do have, what I remember is, I remember that you definitely made sure, you and Dad definitely made sure that we were at church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And that every time we had a meal together, we blessed the food. I remember that you were almost always making the food. It was never, we really rarely ate out. We really rarely had, like, we would go to restaurants and fast food and stuff on really, really rare occasions.
Yeah.
But you were always making things. And it was more often than not like a real meal where everything was actually really made, and it wasn't like a lot of stuff out of cans or a lot of freeze dried, you know. So there was, so what I remember is that there was a lot of care put into different things, and so now, as a meditation teacher and as a counselor, I'm really aware that when people are experiencing depression, those are things that we recommend them to do, to learn new recipes. To take up different interests, to try different things. So I did notice, I can observe with hindsight that you did pick up naturally yoga. I remember you were doing yoga in the living room. I remember the day you introduced me to yoga. I remember you telling me about the yoga blocks, and I have a yoga block right over there. I remember you said, I was like, what the heck is this yoga thing all about? What in the heck is a yoga block for? And I remember you said, the yoga block is for when you're either real kind of bad at yoga or really good at yoga. And I'll never forget that. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it can either make a stretch a little bit easier or a little more challenging. Yeah. And so I remember that. And I remember you were always doing different things. And then also, and postpartum depression being a normal chemical thing that happens, you having a bunch of kids right in a row, there was sort of like, no, and like you said, without the self-care, without knowing what the self-care really needed to be, I think that how do you feel like the role of having a community played into that experience for you?
Oh, it was huge. It's huge to have women that are supportive around each other. And so even now, when I look and I encounter young moms, strangers in the grocery store, and you know, anyway, I see them and I see them struggling, and I always want to look at them and meet their eyes and say, hang in there, because acknowledging that what you're experiencing is hard is huge. Because, you know, Instagram makes it look like motherhood is really glamorous sometimes, and you know, everybody's hair looks great, your makeup looks great, your kids are adorable, and they matching outfits, and that never happens. That's not real. And I think acknowledging that, you know, getting your child to stop, you know, climbing out of the grocery cart is a struggle and it's hard. But there's also a purpose in it, that if you can get outside of yourself for a minute and recognize that, yeah, we had a lot of kids and maybe that wasn't our original plan, but being a mom is, it's the only thing that is important in my life. You know, well, I should say, I like my husband a lot too. So, but being a mom is like preeminent. It's a big deal, and to do it well is really stinking hard. And but I think, you know, having structure. You know, you're talking about having meals together and prayer every night and church on Sunday. Even though we made an effort to teach you and your brothers about Heavenly Father and His role in your life. More, not just that, but also having structure is huge. So if you don't have a schedule and you don't have structure and you're not challenging yourself to learn different things and new things, yeah, life can get really, really mundane and hard. And I think,
Yeah, I remember one time you were speaking at church, and I was really young, so I don't remember exactly what the talk was on, but you were speaking at church and you were talking about basically taking care of yourself, basically mental health. That's the gist that I remember.
okay, yeah,
I'm sure it was like filtered through like religious context, but it is important spiritually to take good care of yourself mentally, just as it's important spiritually to take care of yourself physically, and you know,
yes,
in the ways that makes sense. But I remember you, in addition to scripture study and prayer and everything related to that, I remember you had a couple books that were basically like self-help books
yes.
that you held up. And I remember I was like, what's that? And I got really intrigued into self-help. That was like my introduction into self-help. And you had there was one book that I remember you mentioned that you thought was helpful to give you a different perspective. And then there was another book that I found on your nightstand. Because, you know, I was a good kid who never went in your room and never went through your stuff, right?
Yeah, you're awesome like that, yeah.
No, so
Never
obviously I was always
digging.
I was always getting into something. I was always digging through something and researching something. And so I remember the book you held up was the John Gray book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Oh,
Do you
really?
remember that?
Okay.
Yeah, that
I
was the
remember
book you
having
held up.
that book. Yes.
Yeah, I remember I took note of it because you mentioned it, but it was one of like 5 books. And that's the one I really remember. I think maybe the 4 Agreements was one of them. But I remember the 3 books that I really got off of your bookshelf were, well, 4, I guess. There was Mormon Doctrine, which is like this doctrinal anthology this thick that I read cover to cover.
It's a reference manual, yes.
Yeah, which I read like it was a storybook from cover to cover in like 1st grade. And the other ones that I really remember were Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and The Art of Happiness that the Dalai Lama co-wrote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that content for me, I felt really blessed, especially, and I feel really blessed looking in hindsight now for having exposure to all of that really young. Because those were ideas that like were integrated into my mind and that like I think influenced the way I proceeded throughout the rest of my life, you know. But okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit. So so the postpartum experience, that is, they say that's like a form of grief, because you have the experience with and throughout pregnancy. And then after pregnancy, there's a form of grief from actually not having the baby inside of you, you know. But then there's other kinds of grief, you know. Moving causes a lot of grief. New jobs causes, losing a job, getting a new job, that causes a lot of grief. And and deaths of loved ones. All of those things have happened a number of times. You know, we moved a few times when I was growing up. You had a couple different jobs. Dad had a couple different jobs. We were in and out of different communities and stuff. And also your mother passed and your father passed, you know,
Right.
and then also dad's mom and dad passed away, you know. So all of those different forms of grief have come in, you know. And something that I want to ask you to just share a little bit about that I've witnessed you do is reinvention. When I was a little kid, you always cooked, you were always in the kitchen. But when I was a little kid, the creative focus was really around quilting. You were essentially a professional quilter. You were really high level. You were designing your own quilts. You were in quilting magazines. You were on like a quilting TV show. Only one time. Okay. Well, that's why I said quilting TV show. And you also had a product line, a quilt related product line that was sold at the local stores, and you wrote a book called A Stitch and Rhyme, a quilting themed poetry book. So you
have a very good memory, sir, but okay.
Well, so there was a time when you had that career path and that creative expression, and you really were very professional about it. And then there was a time when there was a reinvention, and I would say the reinvention that I really see after that was when you were teaching in seminary.
Yes.
And and so you really embraced the role of a teacher. And I saw at that, I remember waking up like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you were like fully dressed, hair, makeup, dressed like you're going to church on Sunday to teach this class in the morning. And I remember just being like, is that going to happen to me? Am I going to grow up and be able to do that at some point? So
and
far,
look at
no.
You do it all the time.
Yeah, technically, yes. But then after, you know, when you were transitioning out of teaching seminary, that's when you became a professional chocolatier. Like you said, you were always making candy and chocolates and doing all different kinds of things. But you actually studied and became a professional chocolatier. Yep. And opened up a chocolate shop, you know. Darcy's saying she still doesn't do that. Yeah, I don't either, Darcy. Like, I don't know. Maybe it skips a generation. I don't know. But yeah, I want to hear from you about reinvention and what that feels like for you in the context of mental health.
So I think I used to say that I started doing those things because I'd get bored really easy. And, but I have always, even though I don't consider myself to be artistic, I think in general, human beings want to be creative. And so I do want to be creative, and I do enjoy when I've done something. I love looking at it and going, dang, look what I just did. I love that. Even if it's, you know, a dinner or, oh my gosh, when I learned how to make bread, holy crap, that's amazing that I could do this thing. But I would quickly, once I had mastered something or felt like I was pretty proficient in something, I would want to do it a little better or add a little something to it. And I always have that in the back of my head, even if I'm not actively working on something, this is what I want to do next. I feel like that was part of my self-care, that I really enjoyed that process and figuring things out. And so because I found that really it doesn't even matter what your medium is when you want to create something. I mean, for a while it was quilting, and so I had a lot of fabric and stuff around me. When I was teaching seminary, it was all about what could I do to wake these kids up at 6 o'clock in the morning and make learning about God interesting to them, at that hour of the day. And what could I do? And so that was a creative outlet for me. And now it happens to be that my medium is chocolate. And it's actually been so fulfilling to have something that not only feeds my soul, but when people try something that I've made and they like it, that, more than the monetary benefit of it, is that I have done something of worth. And
okay, so I'll just
that
say something about that. There's a few things that are coming up. First, that is a divine quality. It's, you know, we're children of God. And what is the first thing in the Judeo-Christian traditions we learn about God? That God's a creator. So in the beginning, God created. So if we're children of God, we want to create. We're born to create. And so I think that is, in a way, tuning into your creative, divine faculty. And then also from a spiritual psychology perspective, when we're taking one thing and turning it into something that's more beautiful or more refined, it's psychological alchemy. It's taking base things into something more valuable. And so and I see that all the time. And so when it comes to and so something I want to just tell you guys who are on here and who are going to watch this later, go follow her, Karma in the Kitchen. That's her page, and that's the name of her chocolate shop. And you can order online. Great products. But I want to just say something about how she does this. So when it comes to, we'll start with the chocolates, but this is true about when she was teaching seminary and when she was a quilter and a number of other things. But there's a presence. You're totally present with that thing that you're doing when you're doing it. And and everything about it is precise. And
Yes.
so when it comes to the chocolates, every aspect of every truffle. So these truffles, some of them have multiple layers. They have a ganache center. They have a cream center. They have different kinds of textures that you're dealing with. You're taking a bunch of different ingredients and turning them into different things. They're all very, very precise and very beautiful. Hey,
Yes.
Cultured Forest. Hey, everybody who's on here. And so what I see is a really high level of creative excellence that you demonstrate. And so that's the same. And you learn what other people are doing. You have the big books.
Yeah.
And you study it. But more than anything, it's about doing your own expression of it. Having your own spin on it, you know, doing your own thing. And that was true with seminary. I remember taking your classes, and we would read from the scriptures, but you would come up with your own visual aids. You would come up with your own anecdotes and your own ways of presenting and teaching the content. And then also when it comes to quilting, you were designing your own quilts. You were using other patterns, but it was almost like you were using the patterns just to learn and integrate the basic principles so you could then put your own spin on it and do your own thing with it. And I think that is, from a neuroscience perspective, that keeps you young. It keeps it keeps like your telomeres young. It keeps your neural firing young. Keeps your brain really active, you know. And so that's something that I want to just like kind of compliment you on. But when it comes to parenting, there was a period of time that I remember I had behavioral issues. Yes, guys, Ben Decker had behavioral issues. But I was going through my own thing too, because I was also moving and I was also going through my own psychological process. But being a human is hard. Being a human is hard. Being alive is hard.
Yeah.
And it's kind of designed that way. But I remember the way you treated parenting me like a project. And I think that is something that I think parents can really, really take in, because when I have friends who are young parents, and I wish I could just like transmit that data to them, that give them that transmission, because I remember you had like chore wheels and reward systems.
Yeah.
And I remember when I had behavioral problems, specifically, I want to say like middle school.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade. I
remember this.
Bored. I was so bored.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less about what was going on. I was so bored with everything. I don't know what it was. I had some kind of like energy. I always wanted to be talking. I didn't want to be lectured to. And but I was good at school. I was intelligent.
Yes.
So I remember I would learn the content, and it would be so boring, and I would talk back to the teacher, and I would know the answer to everything, and I would interrupt all the time. And I remember you created a chart where I had to have every single teacher sign that I did all the work, that it was like, did he do the assignments? How was his behavior in class? There was like 3 criteria that I had to have every single teacher sign off on at every single class. And then I had a reward. And it's so interesting because now we know from a neuroscience perspective that those are the ways that you rewire someone's brain, that you rewire your brain. You tweak the way the reward system happens. Do you remember what the reward was? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Do you?
Yeah, you got me a photo shoot. My mom booked me a photo shoot as a reward for
strike of genius right there.
Good behavior at school. Yeah, so she was like breeding me to be a social media influencer. Well, anyway, Mom, thanks for hanging out. Are there any other mental health tips that are coming up right now?
You know what? I don't know if I'm specifically a really good, person to be talking about mental health, because I do have moments where I'm not very good at it. But I think I know that when I am self-absorbed and I'm really worried about something and I just can't get out of my own head, I really have to go do something else. There are people around you that need love and support and service. And I always find that when I learn about someone else's problems, mine don't feel so overwhelming. So I think serving those around you is a great way to kind of help yourself, really. Learning new things is always good, but it has to, chocolate is fun. So there's a lot to it, and it's hard work. And here I am, I don't know what time it is in California, 6:30. It's 9:30 at night, and I'm still sitting in my chocolate shop, and I got work to do. But even though I'm kind of old, I love it, and I love it so much that I'm willing to put in that kind of time to make it a good, to make it successful. But I think if you find something that you really love, embrace it and really make it yours. But I think you can always take that thing that you love and use it to serve other people. So that's chocolate, if I just was making it for my own enjoyment, it would be so much less than what I make it for others. So
thanks, Mom. Okay, so check it out, guys. The tips that we're getting from my mom. Here's the little quick recap. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself and try new things, learn new things, put your own spin on things that you're learning. Take good care of yourself. Make sure you're practicing good self-care. Set yourself up for success, and give to others. Make sure that what you're doing is not just about you, because life's not just about you. So come up with a way to let that thing that you're good at, or let that thing that you're trying, be something that you're able to share and bless the lives of other people. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Karma Decker, for coming on and talking about mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you, Kirsten and Jade and Char Truffles and Cynthia and Darcy and everyone who's on here. You guys are awesome. And so go follow my mom at Karma in the Kitchen.
All right.
Love you guys. Ben. Thanks, Mom. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, guys.